Hello and welcome to the Share It with Ishani podcast. And I'm Ishani Gupta, radio anchor and a public speaking coach. As a reminder, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I bring in one podcast episode every single Saturday. In today's episode, we are going to discuss about the art of persuasion. And for that, we have a very special guest who is going to share his insights on this particular topic. So let us please welcome Kellan Fluckiger. Kellan, how are you doing today?
I'm spectacular, and thank you for having me. And everybody has trouble with the last name, so don't worry about it.
All right, thanks a lot. And let me tell my viewers that he is a professional speaker and author of bestsellers. And he is the man behind the ultimate life formula, which we are going to talk more about in just a short while. So, Kellan, how are you doing? And please let us know about your journey so far.
Well, it's a long journey. I'm 65, which is old compared to some and young compared to others, I suppose. But I have lived the equivalent of 3 or 4 lives. I seem to do always 4 or 5 things at once. So I'm doing really good. I live that ultimate life. I define your ultimate life as a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy that you create by serving with your divine gifts. Getting to this place has been a long journey, trek, adventure, whatever. And that's probably why I love being here so much.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So how did you start with your ultimate life formula? Can you tell me a little about that?
Yeah, like most good things, it started in disaster. I had a long and successful career as an executive in the United States and Canada. Got paid a lot of money, did a lot of good things, or what appeared to be good things, and had a lot of high-ranking positions, blah, 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 fancy titles and big bucks. But the real issue for me was that I was striving. I was unhappy. And it's not unusual to hear people say, well, I made all this success and I was still empty or hollow or unhappy. And the reason is I was doing everything for the wrong reasons. I was trying really hard to get promotions and all that sort of in the company and money and positions and everything, because I thought it proved something about me. And I lived believing with all my heart that my value was equivalent to all the external signs of validation. So titles, cars, I had 6 cars at one time, big houses, all that sort of side. I was a substance abuser. I'd been in and out of rehab. I'd been burned through multiple relationships. I grew up in an abusive home. And internalized the message that I wasn't okay. So I spent my whole life trying to prove that I was okay and was desperate for somebody, in my case, it was my mom, but to tell me, stamp on the forehead, you're okay. And that never came and it never will. And I'm okay with that now. But it took me 40 years. I started experiencing bad symptoms of depression when I was 13. I never talked about it to anyone, never said anything, did anything until I was 53. So 40 years, no help, never talked to a soul, and burned through multiple relationships, marriages. I have 10 kids, and one of my ex-wives is dead, and 2 of them hate me. So I was married and divorced 3 times, and some of the kids still don't talk to me because of the relationship messes and the drugs and stuff that were part of my life. In 2007, it exploded on me. And by that, I mean there was a divine event, a divine intervention that defies all rules of normal stuff. It was otherworldly, that set me on a path of sobriety. It did not fix my depression, however. It just got me sober, and I left all those other kinds of things behind, quit the jobs I was at, walked away from all the contracts, ended everything, and said, I got to have a new life. So I had to figure out 14 years ago, this month, September of 2007, what am I going to do? and I had no idea what I was going to do. I knew that I had a good skill helping people do things they thought were hard or difficult or even impossible. I can be very motivating, persuasive, powerful in that context. And I'd use that skill to good advantage in my other work, even though internally I wasn't happy because I wasn't doing it for their benefit. I was doing it to prove something about me. And so what began to happen from 2007 onward is I began a journey of internal exploring, like, who am I? What am I doing here? What am I supposed to be doing? The kind of things you hear people talk about. And that journey has been long. It has been difficult. At the beginning of that journey, one of the multiple divine interventions brought me together with the woman that I'm with now. We've been married 14 and a half years, and it's the most perfect thing there ever could be. And it'll be another 14 million. So, the divine, whatever name you attach to it, I call it God, but you can call it the universe or whatever, has plans for us. And when I realized that with the power of the interventions, I thought, I'm going to commit to my life, my intentions, my process to figure out what that is and then do that all in. Mm-hmm. So that was my initial commitment. And I stumbled around, made mistakes, tried to figure out what kind of business I wanted to be in, reopened the recording studio, started doing music again, figured out that helping people do things they didn't believe they could do. Gee, I think that's coaching. Okay, let's do that. So I went to some coaching schools to see what they had to offer. And they were some good stuff, although nobody's ever asked me about the certificates that I earned, because that's really not what it's about. It's about your true, and this is really important, it's about your true ability to empathize and inspire others to take action they wouldn't otherwise take. That's the key piece, and that doesn't come in a certificate. So that's the mess that started the journey, and the journey's been ongoing for 14 years. In that 14 years, I've written 13 books. I have 7 more underway, so that will be 20. I won't finish them all in the next year. It'll be next year, probably 2023. I publish 2 or 3 books a year. And there's no end in sight because the inspiration and intuition flows freely. And I created the definition of the ultimate life, and it is my definition, and people can define it any way they want to. But my definition is living a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy you create with your divine gifts. All right, I'll be quiet.
That was really, really wonderful. I mean, wow. From somewhere to somewhere. That is incredible, actually, Kellan. Like, we never think of it like this. We attach so much emotions and so much importance to these certificates, these awards, rewards that we have. And we hardly, answer the calling that is there. We hardly look into that particular thing, the true calling, which we call, like, the things that we are capable of and we love doing.
We don't. And you know what? One of the, and when I said to you, I've had the equivalent of 3 or 4 lives worth of experience, I mean that. I've run a recording studio for 35 or 40 years off and on. I've been a high-ranking executive. I've taught piano, including jazz improv and master classes on and off from the time I was 17 for 40 years. I paint in acrylics, and I've sold some paintings that are hanging in galleries. I've recorded 12 albums and been in a group that charted #1 on the Billboard charts in the United States. Today, I'm a coach, and I've got clients around the world. I don't say this to say, yay, me. I'm saying the ability of each one of us to do anything we want is unlimited. And the only thing that ever gets in the way is we don't believe it. Mm-hmm. And so we don't do the things that would go there. We don't believe it. And so we live locked up in what I call a context straitjacket. And I call it that way because I define your context as the envelope of your life. It's your beliefs and your definitions and your experiences and your expectations and perceptions. I call that the Be Deep, because that's the acronym, right? Mm-hmm. And that forms this straitjacket that keeps us locked up until we realize that we invented it and we're free to move it and eliminate it. Mm-hmm. And that revelation is so difficult often for people to do, because they believe with all their hearts that the world is how they see it, and their opportunities are how they see them, and everybody else is how they see it. And the truth is we don't see the world the way it is. We see the world the way we are. I'm sure you've heard that quote before, but often it's said like there's something wrong with this. How else could we see the world? We've only got one set of glasses, and it's the ones we own. So that's how we see the world, because we have to. Okay, but understanding that you can change the lenses, that's the first breakthrough. It's like, holy cow, I don't have to see this way.
True.
I think I'm talking too much.
No, absolutely not. And I would like you to talk about one thing. You mentioned that you realize that you are good in persuading people and this persuasive thing. So I would like you to talk more about that. How have you used that in changing your life, which was the before life to your afterlife? I mean, not afterlife, but the life.
Okay, I've been there too, because in 2018, 3 years ago, I died in the University of Alberta Medical Center intensive care. I did. I had a near-death experience, and that had 2 books. Yes, that's 2 books that I've written too.
Okay.
I wrote this book, Meeting God at the Door, Conversations, Choices, and Commitments of a Near-Death Experience.
Oh, okay.
So, like when I say I've had 3 or 4 lives, like I'm serious as anything. Okay, all right. So, persuasion. Persuasion is a word that for some people is a dirty word. It feels like we're trying to make somebody do something that they didn't want to do. Well, that's not true. Here's the evidence. When you're a parent, you can do what my mom did and beat me into obedience. That is coercion. Another approach is to persuade children with love, not bribery, not candy or other stupid things, but with love and teaching them to understand, so that they see that 2 things: they have choice, and 2, they get the consequences of those choices, because choices have consequences. Our favorite thought in the world is we want to be able to do whatever we want and then not have any consequences. Well, we can't do that. The consequences are attached. If I step off a building, I'm going to fall, period. Mm-hmm. I don't negotiate with the law of gravity on the way down. You know, it doesn't work like that. Okay, nothing works like that. And the notion that we can do that is a waste of time and dangerous, both. It's a waste of time and dangerous. So when you understand that and you say, all right, what the best gift I can give someone is to help them understand what their true gifts are, to persuade them that they are divine beings, to persuade them that they have gifts and talents that they could use to serve, to create a business, to love, to help, to bless, to feel good inside, to be fulfilled. They have those gifts. And if anything I can do to persuade them to see that, like I can't make them do that. That's coercion. So I think of the continuum as persuasion to coercion. Persuasion is the most blessed form. It's helping someone understand and see so they can choose. It's not taking away choice. Coercion takes away choice. So as long as you stay on the persuasion end where someone has complete choice and you're not lying or hiding things or being duplicitous or, that kind of thing, ulterior motives and all that other nonsense, well, throw all that off the table. Pure persuasion from a place of love is the most powerful interactive context. And so love is the foundation. And I used parents because if a parent really loves their kid, they're going to try to persuade them by helping them see and understand what choices are good for them, and then supporting them there instead of trying to coerce them or forcing them to take choices because the parent thinks whatever they think. Yeah. Okay, so that's how I view persuasion as like almost a holy calling done ethically and out of love.
Yeah, absolutely. Like persuasion is basically showing them and ultimately leaving the decision on the person. So it is up to the person. He or she is taking the decision and based on whatever you have shown to them. So that is basically the concept behind persuasion. And that is why you have very clearly marked out the difference between coercion and persuasion. Like I was really blown off by this difference. Like absolutely, that is something we should be paying attention to. It is a positive thing. Persuasion is a positive thing instead of coercion.
Well, everything we do, we're trying to persuade somebody to do something. You know, we try to persuade a mate to marry us. We want to persuade a person to hire us if we're looking for a job, or we want to persuade someone to try our products if we're in business. But it all has to be you in your heart are the only one that knows where you are on that continuum, or wouldn't be valued by your product or service, and you're still trying to do that, then you're not at the persuasion end of the continuum. You're over here at coercion. You're trying to get them to do something for your benefit. Persuasion is focused on the benefit of the person. Coercion, as you move down the continuum, it's focused on what's in it for me. So the minute you figure out that I'm doing this for me, you're moved off the persuasion end, you're at the coercion end. And I think the big key is, who am I doing this for?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot for carving out these differences between the two, because often we get confused between the two and we do coercion. We coerce instead of persuading the person.
Completely. Absolutely. And that's one of the foundational keys. Most of my clients are not other coaches. Most of my clients are business owners. I got a guy that owns a couple clients that own marketing agencies. I've got a guy that makes a living as a copywriter. I have a client who runs a cabinet business and makes cabinets and flooring. I have a couple guys that are, and gals that are coaches. I have a lady who runs a healing center in Tasmania down off the coast of Australia. You know, she runs an off the grid healing center where they have crystals and do weird stuff. It's not weird. I spent a couple days there in 3 days in a silent meditation retreat with her. It was beautiful. Anyway, so I've got clients all over the place, but one small group of clients that I have is coaches that are trying to become prosperous. In other words, fill a coaching practice, and understanding that the difference between that we just talked about between persuasion and coercion. Who is it for? Am I really saying or doing everything I'm doing for the person, the potential client's benefit? Or is it because I need them to hire me? As soon as we get needy, that's creepy. I mean, needy is creepy. You know, it's like someone asking someone out. You know, if they feel needy, it's like, yeah, get away from me. You know, it doesn't feel good. Well, needy about anything feels creepy. And so you understanding that and internalizing that helps people focus on the person who needs the help, whatever help that is. It lets you be completely ethical and come from a loving place because your real interest is for them. And then when they choose to enroll with you as a client, it's in the most beautiful way possible. But if you've done it with coercion at all, that sours the relationship. And coaching, real good coaching, is a very intimate relationship, because the person has to tell you what they're scared of, what the problems are, why they're not taking action, what the focus is, what's distracting them. Those can be real vulnerable things. And if a person isn't in the relationship with the persuasion, like I'm trying to persuade people to do videos for YouTube and to not be afraid of the camera and how to show up on camera. And, those are little practical things, but they're all part of the thing. Yes, you're good enough. Yes, people want to hear your message. Yes, you have something to offer the world. So get off your butt, get your phone and do your thing. Like that process is intimate and it has to be founded on trust. And if you started with coercion, you're finished.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. So, Kellan, you have a huge following everywhere, not only on social media and even offline. I know you have a huge following. So, was persuasion a part? It was an important part of growing that following that you have currently.
So, I have a sign on my wall here in my office, and it says, "I never look for clients. I look for people to love, opportunities to serve, and problems to solve."
Okay.
Every single thing I put on social media, every talk I give, every podcast appearance I do, the intent is, who can I love? Who can I serve? What problems can I solve? And from that place, and I literally mean it, I never go into any conversation thinking about clients. I look for people to love, opportunities to serve, problems to solve. And from that place, I have a following, I have clients, and I have a thriving business. And the reason is because everyone feels the purity of persuasion and none of the crumminess of coercion.
Okay. So that goes back to the discussion that we just had. So it is basically coming from our position of serving the people we want. So serving and helping the people is the thing that, how do I put it? That is something that your clients have realized that, yes, they have benefited, and that is how eventually a fan base grows.
I don't care. You're exactly right. I honestly don't care. When I talk to somebody and they say, they're interested, could I help them with this, that, and the other? We'll go right there and explore it. What's the problem? And I'll see if I can help them right here, right now. And some people say, well, if I give away too much, I haven't got anything to sell and all that sort of garbage. That's just not true. It is falsehood of the biggest magnitude. If I help somebody, really help them, holding nothing back, no secrets or problems, one of two things happens. One, the problem's solved and they don't need me, in which case I sing glory, hallelujah. I love them and I serve them. Go have a good day. If I solved it partly, but they realize they need ongoing support, then they have been served. They know exactly what it's like working with me. And so the idea of continuing in some form of coaching arrangement, they're not guessing what that's like. They have just experienced that. It's like having a taste. They ate some. Oh, I know what that's like. And that's why holding nothing back and doing exactly what you do is right. It's perfect. It's good, because if you can solve the problem, then you served them. Fine. Go be happy and do whatever it is. If not, and usually, here's the thing. It is rarely that people do not know what to do to solve a problem. Instead, it is they do not do what they know. They already know what they probably should be trying, what they probably should be doing. Try this, try that, I'm scared. Oh no, they don't do what they know. So I can't solve that in a single one or two conversations. I can tell them that 100 million times, but the fear of not doing the things that they know is way deeper than that. And that needs ongoing support. And that's where clients come from. They experience the truth. They experience real help, and they know darn good and well, if they could do it on their own, they would have already done it.
Yeah.
And I might know a few things that they don't know. I can tell them this trick or that trick, or try this or try that. But it's not going to magically change the things that are long-standing problems. The fear, the not good enough, the who would listen to me, the why should I write a book, the no one would listen to me anyway, all of that stuff that goes on in people's heads and on and on. That's the problem. Finding out what to do is easy. Knowledge is free. The internet can tell you anything.
Yeah.
But you can't change who you have been being without help.
That is true.
Well, that's what coaching is. It's about how we're being.
Yeah. That is so true. So, do you have any specific language that you use for persuading people, or, I mean, while you are having a conversation maybe with your potential clients?
Okay, yes. And I can't tell you what it is. And the reason I can't is because it changes from client to client. So let me ask you a question. Okay. In this conversation, have you been persuaded that I help people do what they don't think they can do?
Yes, definitely.
Right. What language did I use to persuade you that that was absolutely true?
That is actually cannot be answered in specific words because it is something one person feels. Like I felt based on whatever you have shared with me so far, based on those things, I have this particular thing in my mind that has developed that yes, definitely what Kellan is doing is he's definitely helping the people in the thing, in building their ultimate life, in serving them the best life. Yes.
Okay, so there's the answer to your question. It depends on every person. Yes, I've written books The Results Equation. So this is a step-by-step process of how to make things happen, from dream to done in 5 simple steps. I've written a book called The Story Arc, which is to help authors. It's practical and persuasive magic for speakers, authors, and storytellers. So this is how to write books and how to create courses and all that stuff. So I've written some practical how-to guides. Okay. And then I've written stories about my own life, Tightrope of Depression and Down from the Gallows, which is volume 2 and all that stuff. But the magic is in allowing a person to believe that this is true for them. Yeah, I'm sure somebody, I see, yeah, Kellan, that's all cool, but what about me? The real magic is getting someone to connect with their own truth and power. Like, oh, I can do this. And that's individual with every person because every person's got their own pile of whatever. And so you gotta get to know them. And that's why I say people to love, opportunities to serve, and problems to solve. I can't help anybody until I love them. And I love them real fast and easy because I see who they really are. And then I yearn for their success. And so my seeing that, I look at you and I see a beautiful person who's trying to do good, creating a podcast every Saturday, trying to lift and bless people's hearts and lives. That's what I see. Because of that, I feel something for you. I love you. And I don't mean that in a weird way. I just mean I see that. And I love people that are doing that. So it's not hard for me to look at a person and say, what's in the way? What can we work on? And mean it with all my heart. And I don't have to sell anything ever. Mm-hmm. The persuasion takes place in the interaction.
Yeah.
And people get done and they're like, can I have some more?
Yeah, absolutely. It is the value that you are providing just with that particular interaction. A person can see, or you are basically making this person feel and see whatever is there inside this person.
I always do this, so don't feel picked on. It is no different than this interaction that we've had. You have a particular feeling. You have a sense of who Kellan is and what he does. And what you see is what you get. Like if you saw me tomorrow or the next day, or we ran into each other in the supermarket, unlikely, but if we did, it would be the same. Oh, yeah, same dude. You know, this is me. And I live in that place because my journey, my purpose that I have come to from 14 years ago is to be the catalyst to make things happen that wouldn't happen otherwise. Mm-hmm. That's all. That's really all I do from the minute I get up until I go to bed. That's what I do. And I love it. I want to.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Such a deep conversation. I'm absolutely enjoying this.
Good. Yay. That was my purpose. It would be a real drag if we were having this conversation and you're like, oh, I can't wait for this to be done. Are we finished yet?
I really feel like going on with this conversation.
Well, I'm yours till, you know, I booked an hour, so I've got more time. I'm whatever you want to ask. Anything I said, anything you want to know, I'm an open book.
I would like you to answer one final question, which is about any final tips, just to, summarize our entire conversation on art of persuasion. So more or less, the points that you have made is very strong and it is very clear. Just to summarize, so what is the message behind persuading people? So what is that main tip or lesson we can say? Yeah.
The most important thing is to, number one, you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in what you're doing, whether it's volunteer work or selling your products or services, there's absolutely no difference. So the first thing is the work inside. Do I believe in this? Do I believe in me? If that is not true, then that needs to be a work in progress. You don't need to be done with that in order to be in business or to help people, but you have to be working on it. You have to be actively looking for ways to grow and to develop and to be more loving and on purpose. So that's the first thing, is believe in what you're doing, because that carries enormous energetic power in a conversation. When a person really believes in what they've got, and you can tell they believe in it, they use it and they're doing it, whether it's teaching meditation, taking a supplement, selling coaching, or trying to sell you a refrigerator. If they believe in that thing because they have experiences and examples and you can tell they're really invested, that carries power. The second thing is make it about the other person. If it's about you, what I need to sell, I need to convince you, I need this, that, and the other, you're going to fail more than you succeed. If it is about them, here's what you do. You ask them enough questions and you keep going until you know what they're trying to accomplish. Is it a problem they're trying to solve? Is it a goal they're trying to reach? But you can't help anybody until you know what they're trying to do. And I'm blown away by the number of people who simply assume, yeah, my thing will be good for you. Well, how do you know? I get offers on LinkedIn all the time. My inbox, it says, watch this video. I'm sure it'll help you build your business. And when I read that, I feel sad, because it's like, you don't know anything about me or my business. How do you know that's going to help me build anything? And if I were not living in a space of love, I might be mad. Like, how could you be so arrogant? You don't even know me. Okay, so don't let that ever be true. So one, believe in yourself and your product. Number two, make it about them. Find out everything you need to know about them, so you really know whether or not what you have will be of value. Okay. I say when I train coaches, I teach them how to ask questions and I teach them to listen and all that stuff. And what I say is, by the time I've talked to somebody for half an hour, I'm armed and dangerous. I am armed and dangerous. I know everything about them. I know what they need. I know what they want, and answer all these questions. And it's because I ask in openness and love. And so they tell me all kinds of stuff. And when I say armed and dangerous, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm being funny, but it's like, yeah, I know what you're trying to do. I know why you're not doing it. I know what you need. I don't know if you're ready to do it yet or not, but I know what you need by then. Okay, good. So make it about them. That's step 2. Number 1, believe in yourself and your product. Number 2, make it about them. And number 3, serve them like crazy. Don't worry about the holding something back or, any of that. Just serve, just solve problems. Because when people meet that energy, they want it. I had a guy tell me once, we had 2 conversations. He did not hire me as a coach. He did come to an event that I held, and he didn't become a client. He didn't have the money. But what he said to me is, he said, you know what I want? He said, I would love to just have your energy. Can I just buy that? And he was being a little silly, right? I mean, he knew he couldn't, but he could sense the intensity of the sincerity, the caring, all that stuff, right? And so those are the 3 things I would say. Believe in yourself and your product. Number 2, make it about them, not about you. And number 3, serve like crazy.
Wow. That was so intense and so awesome. Like, these are the few things which not everybody tells us or not everybody shares. And I'm so glad you shared these things, these stories, these tips, these entire knowledge on how you persuade a person, even without actually telling. But we have realized in this entire episode, just with this conversation, that what persuasion means. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Anybody that wants to connect, the easiest way is my website, which is my name. You do have to spell it right, but there are only 2 Kellan Fluckigers in the world out of 8 billion. The other one is my son. So there are 2, and you won't have any trouble telling the difference because I'm older than he is. So that if you want to connect on my website, follow me on Facebook, friend requests. I get lots of them. So tell me a little, like, why are you sending me a friend request? Because most of them I ignore because they don't make any sense. But so follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. My most active one is Facebook. I have thousands and thousands of people on LinkedIn, but I don't use it very much because mostly all I get is people trying to sell me crap I don't need to have them talk to me. You know what I do when they send me that stuff? I send a note back and say, well, I don't know if you know me well enough to know that, but I'd be happy to have a conversation to get to know you. And you know what? 90% of them are afraid to do that, and they don't answer. In fact, 95%, 19 out of 20 don't answer. 1 out of 20 will say, And so that tells me they're violating those 3 things. They don't believe in their product. It's not about me, and they're not willing to serve. The answer is I don't have time for that.
That's really a clever way of handling these people, because this is what we should be doing. Like, even I get these messages, on my Messenger, Facebook Messenger and LinkedIn. That is really a good way of dealing with them. So thanks a lot, Kellan. And to my viewers, once more, I would like to tell you, if you want to connect with Kellan, his links are there below in the description box. And I have the entire bio about him again in the description box. So just go through that and learn more about him in the links provided below. So that's all for today. Thanks a lot, Kellan. I hope to see you another time. Talk to you again.
Thank you.
Signing off from Share It with Ishani. See you again. Bye-bye.